Mike, if you don't be friends with me.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm your friend, man.
Yeah, that's to hold his bike.
Yeah, you can move it. We're gonna move it.
Wherever Gil wants. Or this
Here,
guy.
Gil.
It's his throw.
Right here, Gil. Stay right here. I'm not gonna get an earshot.
Where you at?
I'm way over here.
Shoot around here.
I'm not gonna get an
No, sir,
earshot.
you're good. I moved you back a little bit.
Eric, can you go up there or Gil, you and Mike
Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3, check. 1, 2, 3, check, check, check.
I tell you that you're on the air?
Check.
Sorry, man.
Test, test,
Anything to
test.
say to your wife and kids?
No, no, no.
You sure?
Ah,
You're live.
oh, not yet.
No, I'm good.
Test, 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 test. Everybody,
Are you good?
check, 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 check.
Move left. How about that?
Everyone set, or do you need a minute?
You good there? Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. We're ready.
With the mic here.
No, we got
Oh,
to stick
okay,
mic. We'll cover you both. Don't worry.
Got it.
Everyone
ready?
Hold on 1 second, Sheriff. We'll hit ours.
Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff, joined here by Houston Police Chief Noe Diaz. I have Major John Nanny, and we have Executive Assistant Chief Howard from the Houston Police Department. Thank you for being here this morning. This morning at approximately 6 a.m., members of the U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force convened at this location on Luthi Road. They were going to serve a domestic violence felony warrant for aggravated assault, an incident that had occurred within unincorporated Harris County. It was a Harris County Sheriff's Office case that occurred last week where a male suspect allegedly stabbed his girlfriend in that incident. The male target was also believed to have other criminal history and may have been out on a previous felony case as well that was still pending. So 14 members of the task force joined here this morning to begin executing that warrant. And they announced their presence very clearly. They lit up their sirens. They announced their presence. They were very methodical in their approach. It's our understanding 3 other adults were inside the home, including a pregnant female. She exited the location. All 3 exited the location with the possible suspect still remaining inside. So the stack of law enforcement officers approached the front entryway. Again, they continue to make commands not only in English but also in Spanish as well, announcing their presence, giving the suspect every opportunity to come to the door and turn himself in, to no avail. They were there for at least a couple minutes. We believe everything happened within about a 2-minute time frame. They were at the doorway. Soon after, the officers heard what sounded like a gunshot coming from the room where the male was supposedly at, and they attempted to use a non-lethal weapon. The officers did, but again, to no avail. The male began yelling that he basically wasn't going to go out this way, that it wasn't going to be this way. He wasn't going to go back in. I'm paraphrasing, and at that point, he exited with a shotgun, fired at the officers. One HPD officer discharged his weapon at the male suspect, striking him, and the male was subsequently pronounced deceased right there on the scene inside the trailer home. We believe he's the male individual that's wanted. We're still going to confirm that, so we don't want to release the identity at this point. He's described as Hispanic male, 26 years of age. Briefly in Spanish, esta mañana estamos aquí, se juntaron miembros de la organización del U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. Estaban aquí en búsqueda de un sospechoso que Lo estaban buscando por una orden de arresto de un caso de felonía de violencia doméstica que ocurrió la semana pasada. También parece ser que tenía otros antecedentes. El hombre lo describen como un hombre hispano, aproximadamente 26 años. Esta mañana llegaron aquí, anunciaron su presencia, anunciaron con las luces, con bocinas de voz alta, y 3 personas salieron del trailer, pero el sospechoso no salió. Anunciaron de nuevo, estuvieron ahí varios minutos dándole cada oportunidad para que saliera, pero nunca salió. Y al fin dijo que él nos iba a entregar de esta manera, que no iba a pasar así, como que lo iban a capturar. Entonces le trataron de disparar con un arma que no es como pistola, sino es non-lethal. El sospechoso salió, parece ser con un shotgun, una escopeta. No sabemos exactamente qué tipo, y le disparó a los oficiales. Un oficial del departamento de Houston, un Houston Police Officer, pudo dispararle al hombre, y el hombre cayó allí y está muerto aquí en la escena. No podemos confirmar si es la misma persona que estamos buscando, pero es lo que sospechamos que era. Entonces, esto habla mucho del peligro que corren estos oficiales. Just briefly, it just speaks to how violent these individuals are that we're pursuing. Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force always goes after the worst and worst in our community, so they just woke up and were doing their job, and this suspect that's now deceased had every opportunity to turn himself in. He had other ideas in mind, and but our condolences go out obviously to any family members that he may have, and this is also traumatic for not only the officer that discharged his weapon, but the other members of the team and neighbors that were here present. At this point, I'll let Chief Noe Diaz speak to it. And just one more thing, being that we're in unincorporated Harris County, the Harris County Sheriff's Office will be the investigative lead. The Harris County District Attorney's Office is out here. They'll do their own investigation on the matter, and then we'll liaison with the Houston Police Department as well. Chief?
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, Sheriff. Thank you for such a great presser. Not the outcome we wanted, but these men put themselves at risk, our team, to put these bad guys behind bars, as the sheriff said. Our team member acted appropriately. From what we've seen, we will release the body cam footage as per HPD policy within 30 days. Again, the condolences to the decedent's family as well. But again, every day these young people, these police officers, are waking up, doing the hard stuff, keeping our community safe. And for their efforts, we're very grateful. Today's not the outcome that we wanted. The suspect had every opportunity, like the sheriff said, to come out. It was announced in Spanish and English. There's lights, there's sirens, every single step that we can possibly do to not have an outcome as tragic as this, where there's a death involved, was used. Less than lethal munitions were used as well, but unfortunately the bad guy in this instance chose a different route this morning, and our officer's been on 13 years, 15 years. Again, he's okay. He'll be put on administrative leave as per policy, and we're hoping that once the review comes out, everything will be as we have said today. Again, I want to thank the U.S. Marshal Service. The Marshal could not be here. He's otherwise committed on an operation in South Texas. I spoke to him this morning. But again, this is something that this team does every day. They're pros at it. And I want to thank the sheriff for his leadership and his partnership, because this doesn't happen by one police department. This is a total group effort. It's a collaborative effort. Multiple agencies are involved. And we want to make sure that we continue the collaboration with the Sheriff's Office, and we will. So I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you for our media partners to showing up and visiting with us today and reporting this. Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah, and quickly, I just want to thank the chief as well for the partnership and collaboration. We collaborate in different ways. This is one way that we work together to take violent offenders off our streets. Also here as part of the task force were, again, U.S. Marshals. They were the largest present, followed by the Houston Police Department, members of the Sheriff's Office, and members of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as well. I want to clarify or point out that the female that was here was not, we believe, the person that was involved in the recent survivor of the other alleged attack that occurred about a week ago. That's a separate female that was involved. The female that was here, we're told is pregnant. She's been checked out. She's okay. Nobody else was hurt. No injuries to law enforcement. And again, it just speaks again. I want to reinforce that. Look, we operate within a dangerous community, but we're going to do everything we can to take these individuals off the street. We speak about domestic violence all the time. And this individual, again, was wanted, we believe, if it's the same individual, on a domestic violence felony warrant from just last week. And he was possibly out on a previous felony case as well. I don't know how he got out of that situation, if he had bonded out or what other type of release. But all that will be part of our investigative work. And I always like to point out that it's all preliminary, obviously. We're just trying to get you the basics of what we know. Things could always change once we talk to more witnesses and receive other information. Any questions?
You said the one over stabbed.
I'm sorry.
Would you consider this a case of suicide by cop?
I wouldn't. I think I don't think he was intending for this to occur. I think obviously by us being proactive, this case happened just a week ago. They tracked him down, and we're doing our job, and we're going to get him off the street to hold him accountable. I think he just, obviously, wasn't going to go down, and he didn't say, I want y'all to kill me. He says, I'm just not going to, it's not going to go down this way, and he was vocal about that. So I think he was intending, obviously, that he could have heard there was a number of officers in the stack trying to make entry.
You said the case last week was a stabbing case?
That's what I'm told. It's a stabbing incident involving a possible girlfriend. So that's all we have right now. I haven't looked into the background of the case.
You know how she is at this point?
I'm not sure how she's doing.
Do you know if the charge was aggravated assault or attempted
I was
murder?
told aggravated assault, family violence, the one from last week, and that's what they were running on right now. But he allegedly has some additional criminal history and a previous felony case that was still pending.
You don't know what that previous case was?
I believe it was also aggravated assault type
Oh,
case, but
not domestic?
I'm not sure of the other one.
Sheriff Gonzalez, just for clarity, the task force that responded here this morning is made up of HCSO, HPD, and other agencies.
Correct. Yes, it's been a long-standing U.S. Marshals-led task force, and we've always had a presence, and they go after the worst of the worst. We have other teams that do so also, but they're one of the primary
People
ones.
see this and they're like, why is HPD there? Why is HPD
Yeah,
there?
it's a task force.
Can you kind of talk a little about domestic violence? It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a lot of times you guys are called to these situations where these suspects don't want to turn themselves in, but on the other hand, you have these survivors who are hoping that you guys go out there and try to get these guys off the street. So can you kind of relate on how that affects you guys and how tough it is?
Yeah, domestic violence, it's a national epidemic. We see it here very frequently. I know we probably share the same type of statistics that a large number of our homicides have intimate partner violence nexus. Very dangerous situations for us to respond. Many times, if you know the dynamics of domestic violence, that abuser is losing control of the situation, and that's one thing they'll hold on to, and they'll turn to violence not only against the survivors, but also against law enforcement, because we represent them losing that power. And here, I mean, he's with another female here. We don't know the relationship there. We're told it's possibly another girlfriend, and the other one is injured. And so very scary, very dangerous situations, and we encounter it all the time. It's always the most dangerous situation for law enforcement to respond to. And just last week, two brothers trying to intervene to assist a neighbor, also possibly being abused and attacked, ran for her safety, and they were shot and killed by an alleged abuser. So very tragic situations. Chief, do you want to add anything from your agency?
It's an epidemic, right? So we'd ask, if you're a neighbor and you hear it through the walls or you hear it, please report it. Don't be afraid to report it. We have the resources. A lot of times the partners, be it male or female, are struggling to get away from that violent partner that's causing the domestic abuse. So it's something real. It is a big, like the sheriff said, a big portion of our homicide investigations. And it's a tragedy in the community, but there are resources where victims of domestic violence can reach out, and these resources will get them better footing, a fresh start, and the ability to start over, be it their family, be it their children, because there's a lot of dynamics, like the sheriff, involved in it. They're using kids against one another. It's a very intimate crime, if you would, and it's abusing one at its worst. So That's a great question. Thank you for asking that, but it's something that we take very serious, and there are resources, so please report it if you know it. Any other questions?
A less lethal weapon was used. Could you be more specific? There are
You
many
want to
types
speak
of
on
less
that?
lethal
Did you?
weapons.
I don't remember. I don't know what type of munition was used. I know we've been using 40 millimeter, gel type munition, but I'm not sure exactly what they used.
Or
But
was
we
it
know
like tear
something was
gas
used.
or-
It wasn't
No,
tear
no.
gas or anything. No, it was more like a pellet of some type. And they attempted. So again, kudos to all the officers that were here. They used a lot of restraint. They announced their presence very clearly for several minutes. English, Spanish, lights, sirens. It was very known that we were here to serve the warrant, telling him to come out, show his hands, things like that. He just didn't comply. But they even used non-lethal opportunity there, and to no avail. He came out armed with what appears to be a shotgun, and not only shot at the officers, but as the shots were fired back, he had raised his weapon once again to fire again, and it could have been deadly very easily to where we would be talking about officers down as well.
How many officers?
I don't know how many were in the stack as they were trying to make entry. I think there were 14 in total, but not everybody was up at the door. They were obviously surrounding the.
You know how long you've been an officer and what's going to happen after?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. He's been an officer for 15 years. He'll be put in administrative duties, and until we review it, and then we'll go through the critical incident process at the Houston Police Department, and then we'll release the footage on the body cam footage.
Thank you all.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
Ew.